A lot of Bristol City's business this summer will be revolved around money coming in from outgoings, and one huge star that's been linked with moves all over is Alex Scott. But his situation at the football club has fluctuated. It's looked at one point he was certainly going to leave, but now we're not so sure. Will Alex Scott stay or leave Bristol City this summer? If Bristol City are to sell Alex Scott this summer, it will be for a fee of around £25 million, which we think is probably a fair evaluation for the player. 19 years old, he's only going to improve, and he certainly looks like he's going to be Premier League quality in the very near future. And to be honest, compare that to other sales. João Pedro, who's gone to Brighton for reportedly around £20 million as well. And Victor Gyökeres, who's going to Sporting Lisbon for, again, a reported fee of around £20 million, maybe a bit more with add-ons. If you compare that to calibre and just general impact on this league and on the club, I'd say £25 million is probably around a fair figure for Alex Scott. It also looks like Bristol City are going to stick to that £25 million price mark, which I think we should be absolutely doing. The player's got enough time on his contract left. His contract expires in 2025, so we've got another 2 seasons, so we could be selling next summer and we should probably get another decent price for him. And I don't think we should be deviating from our £25 million price limit. We've done so previously in the past where with players we've not got the value we deserve and we've been left a rue. With Alex Scott, I don't think we're going to do that, and I don't think Alex Scott is going to do anything to try and force a move out. He's gone to the training camp in Austria with the rest of the squad and he looks generally rather content. He hasn't said anything on social media, hasn't come out in the local media either to try and force a move. He hasn't paid any attention to the links. He's just gone on and trained with the squad. And to be honest, I don't think he's that interested in a move away if it doesn't accumulate and it doesn't take place. I think he's rather content staying here because we know that Nigel Pearson, in 2 full seasons in the Championship he's had now, he's going to get the best out of him and he's thrived. And that's why we're having this conversation right now. That's why we think Alex Scott is a Premier League ready player. That's why we think he's worth £25 million. So, look, I don't think Alex Scott is going to do anything to try and force a move out. And that, again, plays into City's hands. That, again, will force clubs to pay that price we're asking for. And I don't think the player or the club, both clubs, will do anything to try and lessen that price. And I think that's absolutely what we need to happen. If Alex Scott has another brilliant season and helps City to finish in the playoffs and we don't get promoted, then we'll sell. Probably not for £25 million, bit less, but still we'll sell. And that, again, I don't think City will mind that. If we get another full season out of Alex Scott, he helps improve the squad, he helps improve the overall team performance, we're fine with it. And that, again, helps City on the pitch and will likely help us off the pitch too. You could assume that Bristol City absolutely depend on this Alex Scott sale to make further incomings into the squad, but we've already shown that we can spend and we have got that financial leeway to make signings. Ross McCrory has come in from Aberdeen for reported £2 million. We've shown that we have interest in Jason Knight for, again, we've bid to £2.5 million, and we are reportedly thinking about a bid for £3 million, which shows that we have got that financial room and that leeway to make bids and make signings for a large chunk of money. If that Alex Scott money does come in, though, that will again massively help the playing squad, because we'll improve the squad right now, not only by filling the void left by Alex Scott, but also improving other areas of the squad, i.e. centre-back, midfielder, wherever we need it. So it would be a massive amount of money coming in, but that would be needed to spend on other areas of the pitch, not only the gap that is left behind by Alex Scott. I mentioned Jason Knight, and Nigel Pearson has mentioned the fact that Jason Knight has been linked with the club and we've made bids for him because we want to accommodate him with Alex Scott and not the fact that we want to replace him. I don't think Bristol City have even thought about replacements for Alex Scott yet, because we've not had any concrete interest in him. And the bottom line is, if Bristol City are to sell Alex Scott, I know this sounds very, very obvious, we're going to need some concrete interest in him. And there's been a lot of minor interest from clubs in the Premier League and even abroad, but there's no bids on the table yet. There's no bids that meet the evaluation of Bristol City, and at the end of the day, we're going to need some bids to meet the evaluation if City are to sell. And it's at the moment not happening, and maybe that's because of the price, but as long as we feel that's a fair reflection of the value he brings to us and the value he'd probably bring to other clubs, then £25 million it is. It's either you've got to pay it or you're not going to get Alex Scott. And to be honest, some people would say, well, for a player that's not scored many goals, hasn't got many goal contributions, it seems a bit steep, no? Whatever you think, he brings a lot more than just goals and assists. He's an excellent dribbler. He's a highly technical player, and a highly technical player like that playing in midfield at 19 years old is a rare breed in the Championship. It's really hard to find, and you know you're good if you're playing week in, week out in midfield in the Championship and bossing most teams. In the FA Cup against Man City, I know a one-off game, he was absolutely brilliant. He really showed his quality, and Pep Guardiola after the game came out and said Alex Scott really, really good. So you can't be bad if you're running games on a weekly basis in the Championship with that level of technical quality. You have to be pretty damn good to be doing that on a weekly basis. Bottom line is, it will be a hard job for Bristol City to replace him if Alex Scott does leave. His technical quality will be incredibly hard to replace. It's really hard to find, as I've mentioned, and his lack of goals will need to be, again, improved on if he is to leave. Maybe that's a signing of an attacking midfielder. Maybe that's a box-to-box midfielder who's good at scoring goals. Whatever it is, if Bristol City are to sell Alex Scott, it will be a hard job to replace him because his presence in the team is really, really important. I mentioned Tommy Conway yesterday. He is looking probably to score 20 plus goals next season. His strength, Tommy Conway, is ball to feet. If ball is coming to feet, he's much better than the air. Alex Scott is the only real person in that Bristol City squad who's got the technical quality to provide him with quality service to feet. I don't think anyone else in the squad right now in the Championship can provide the same service Alex Scott does. So Alex Scott is kind of like a key to our system, to the rest of our players. Mehmeti will thrive because of Alex Scott. If Alex Scott has that, again, technical quality I've mentioned, a lot of that rides on technical quality, as you've probably discovered, Mehmeti will shine. Harry Cornick's pace, if Alex Scott is spotting Harry Cornick's runs in behind, Harry Cornick will thrive. Andy Vyman, his pace, his finishing ability. It's so much of City's team over the past 2 years has been kind of relying on Alex Scott's technical ability, his awareness, his intelligence. A lot of it has been on him to provide and help Bristol City. So, will I think Alex Scott will stay? I'm not sure. I think it might be one of the situations where he stays for the first couple of games in the season and eventually a club will burst and pay the £25 million we're after and just realise how good he actually is. It might be one of those. I hope not, because I just feel like it will be too much for some fans, me, and it will just kind of derail our plans because he'll start the first few games, we'll then have to recruit quickly and act quickly with a few days left, and it'll just be a kind of a mess for City. So I'm kind of saying this with a heavy heart. If City are to sanction a deal, I hope it happens quickly instead of later in the window, because then we can get the gears going and start with the recruitment process to then replace Alex Scott and also make further additions to the squad in order to improve it. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, hit a like. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Job and Stalk YouTube channel for more Bristol City content in the future over the summer as we build up to the season. And yes, this one was about Alex Scott. If you want to hear about another very exciting Bristol City youngster who had an absolute brilliant breakout season last year, Tommy Conway, I've made a video about him and his aspirations for next season. Can he break that landmark 20 goals next year? Thank you guys very much for watching. Keep safe and I'll catch you all later. Cheers.